Hey guys, I recently did the video for the history of the RMS Lusitania, and I hope you enjoyed that. And I got a little treat for you guys today. The topic is going to be Lusitania, but I actually have a book, a picture book, when it comes to the RMS Lusitania and history, history in pictures and postcards and things of that nature. And what makes it special to me is the author actually signed the book for me. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. Hello again, my friends, my fellow modelers, my fellow historians. I'd like to welcome you to another video. I hope your day is going well. And what I want to talk to you guys today is about something really special. Well, a lot of things are really special to me, but we're going to be talking about Lusitania. And because I don't have a model of a Lusitania, I'm going to use Titanic for right now, only because she's the closest thing to the time period. So we're going to be going back in time, and we're going to be talking about the RMS Lusitania today. And I've gotten a lot of information. I have done the history on the Lusitania, if you want to check that out. And I've done a history on a lot of ships, but the most recent one, or one of the most recent ones, was the RMS Lusitania. And I had said a lot in my videos that I rely heavily on Dr. Ballard. And I have the Lusitania, Robert Ballard's Lusitania, where I've gotten a lot of information, kind of like what I did with Titanic and Bismarck. But today, we're going to be going over a book on Lusitania that's kind of like a picture book. And it's really, really, really fun. Got a lot of awesome pictures from her build, some of the postcards, and the author also wrote the book to me in the front page, and I'll show you guys. So without further ado, let's go over to the desk where there's more light, and we're going to talk about the RMS Lusitania. Okay, so there's a lot more room and light at the desk. And when it comes to the backdrop, I'm going to use this awesome model kit. This is the 1/350 scale, late great Lusitania. And this is the one that's from Entex. So I'm thinking that this is going to make a really nice backdrop. And when it comes to the book itself, we've got the RMS Lusitania, and it's a history in picture postcards by Eric Sauder. And what I was telling you guys is that he was nice enough to inscribe the book to me. You see RMS Lusitania, and to Jerry, with best wishes, Eric Sauder. So I thought that was really nice of him to do for me. And this book has just got so many amazing pictures in it. This book came out in 2015. And you can see the book of contents. We have the acknowledgments, forward, the construction of the ship, her trials, her service, the interiors, the sinking and the aftermath, and the propaganda. So you can see the acknowledgments. If you want, you can pause it and check that out. When it comes to the forward, I want to share the forward with you. This is by Eric Sauder, written in 2015. Lusitania was an engineering marvel. She and her sister Mauretania sparked the public's imagination in a way never seen before. Mauretania was blessed with a long, successful career and is fondly remembered today as a ship with soul. Lusitania, on the other hand, although one of the most beloved ships of her day and having set world records for speed and size, ended her career at the bottom in a cold North Atlantic. Public's interest in Lusitania considered even after her loss, but for different reasons. She ultimately became a rallying cry for troops on the front lines and propaganda posters. Her achievements and success were forgotten. This volume tells her story from the construction to the aftermath of her sinking in postcards. Although not an exhaustive history of the extraordinary liner, this book will hopefully pique the interest of some readers to find out more about this magnificent vessel, which held the world's attention, but now is known to the public at large for the first victim of total war. And that was by Eric Sauder. And part one we're going to go into is the construction, and I'm not going to read the book to you. I just want to show you some of the awesome postcards, and that you guys should really pick up a copy of this book. It's really informative, and you can get a lot of information on the ship from the postcards, because I've shown you guys the postcards in relations to Titanic. And like, for instance, this is the earliest known design for Lusitania and Mauretania, depicted them 3 funneled liners with overall length of about 750 feet. Now we know today that Lusitania and Mauretania had 4 funnels, but interestingly you can see how she was depicted with 3, and they look larger in relation to the ship. Switching over, you can see the SS Lusitania, turbine length 780 feet, built by John Brown and Company Limited, and that was for Cunard. And I love that picture. There's so many cool pictures in here on Lusitania. Here's another one. I think this was her fitting out of the launch. The SS Lusitania, 787 feet, leaving the waves. Yeah, this is when she was launched. Absolutely beautiful. And one of the things, the trademarks of Lusitania, is you can see at the stern, they have the decking, whereas Titanic just has the one deck. And this one, it's not quite like the SS Morro Castle, because the Morro Castle comes all the way out and has the decks, but that's still a nice touch. One of the characteristics about that in her day. So whatever section you were on, you could enjoy the stern section, maybe not all the way to the back, but it was still a characteristic of the ship. We got a couple of really cool postcards. Comparison of the size. Lusitania at the dock. And go into her sea trials now. And again, guys, I'm not going to read the book to you. I'm just going to show you some points of interest and share some of these amazing pictures with you. This is June 27th in 1907, just after a year of fitting out. She left her birthplace on a trip to the open sea. And this is her departure from John Brown's yard. It was dictated by the tides. And thousands of postcards of Lusitania were sent in the days following her departure. You can see she's just a magnificent, magnificent ship. Absolutely beautiful. uh, 33,000 tons. Mailed the day after Lusitania completed her first 2 days of sea trials, the message reads, July 4th, 1907. I thought you would like this photograph of the Lusitania, the largest ship afloat, taken on the Clyde. Here's another beautiful picture of the stern. And I love that picture. 32,000 tons. Let's see if there's a date on here. There's no date on this particular photo. It's another beautiful shot. And again, sometimes you might be thinking, well, postcards, but they actually made postcards, and a lot of the times by using actual photographs of the ship. The Cunard liner, Lusitania. Look at that beautiful shot. Work on the alterations proceeded without delay, and once it was completed, Lusitania sailed for Liverpool on July 15th, the following day. The following day, meetings were held aboard the liner between John Brown and Cunard's naval architects. They were looking to reduce the vibrations of the ship, kind of like fine-tuning. Again, these pictures are absolutely amazing. I've done, like I said, I did the history on the Lusitania, and a lot of the photographs that I used, I had done it before getting this book, actually. And a lot of the photographs that I ended up using were from Dr. Ballard's book, as well as a lot of the information. She was just absolutely beautiful. And when it comes to her records and her service time, it was a lot shorter than Mauritania, and Mauritania eventually reclaimed the blue ribbon. Mauritania actually held the blue ribbon for quite a while. I'm pretty proud to say to this day that now the blue ribbon is still held by the SS United States, which was our flagship. But that's another video. You see how beautiful these pictures of that ship were. She was just totally magnificent. What a special time period that was. Think about it. The birth of these ships were the inspiration to Titanic, Britannic, and Olympic. And eventually what they have today. The Queen Mary II, or even a Queen Mary back then. The Queen Mary II today, which is an absolutely gorgeous, immense ship, leaving the dock. Look at that. Beautiful. There's another gorgeous picture of her. And that was on August 27th of 1907. And she's in Liverpool. Love it. Look at that. I love the bridge design where she has that, you can see the wheelhouse comes down and it has that curvature where it comes out to the wings on either side, the observation decks. Kind of like a trademark of the shipping company. This is the tug. And you know, these ships get a lot of love, and rightfully so, but one of their big helpers are the tugboats to get these immense ships to dock and moving them around. And this is on her maiden voyage on the 7th of September. Lusitania approaching the Prince's landing stage for the first time in Liverpool. Liverpool was her home for the entire career, but dock space there was for large liners, and it was in short supply to get around. The problem, upon arrival in Liverpool, a vessel would come alongside the Prince's landing stage to disembark passengers, and once that was complete, the steamer would anchor in the Mersey to prepare for the following voyage. And this is at the stage. Aside from providing transatlantic passengers with a safe and comfortable way of boarding the ship, the large steamships, the new landing stage was provisioning a ship, breeze. And I love that. That looks like, where is that? The stage. Think about how much work and how many people were involved, because between voyages where they would restock the ship, remember, you have to have food, alcohol, water, fresh water. When it comes to the ships of today, they can use the ocean water to make fresh water. But I don't think they had that back in Lusitania's day. So everything had to be taken into account. And this is the way she was docked in Liverpool. Beautiful. 2 postcards were taken from on board Lusitania that give a good idea of the hustle and bustle of Liverpool on the sailing day. And this was Saturday, August 23rd of 1913. And all those passengers. Imagine how exciting it must have been to actually book and be leaving on Lusitania. And this is the Lusitania passing out of the Mersey. Lusitania, let's see, in leaving port in New York or arriving, because it's written in French. But look at that picture. You see she's dressed out with her pennants. Beautiful. I wonder if there are any color photos coming up. I've tried to look to see if I could find colored photos of Lusitania. The only ones I could find were black and white pictures that had been retouched or colorized. It's another beautiful ship. So, despite the enthusiasm shown for the new liner, there were still some worrying newspaper reports about the vibration on board. One passenger on the maiden voyage was Ernest Cunard's grandson of the liner's founder and a member of the company. He took great pains to talk to many crew members about the issue and heard no complaints during the voyage from the first-class passengers. Even though they all came on board primed with the idea that it would be very great, he did mention that there was still some areas of slight vibration on the ship. And the first color, this is an illustration, artist's rendition. Fancy with the scalloped edges. Beautiful. And the Cunarder arriving at Liverpool. I wish I had the talent to paint like this. I did attempt at painting Titanic, and it leaves a lot to be desired. It's not as easy as they make it look. A postcard with a very prophetic message that had far-reaching effects not only for Lusitania, her crew and passengers, but for the world as well. "'Tis a faded picture. A big ship is sailing for the dear old shores, and the youth is bound for home. He longs for one glance to land. He adores as the ship speeds over the foam. Through rich that old pictures he wears next to his heart, just the same as the days of yore. Then he vows that with the mascot he will never part, those fond words recalling once more." Look at that. The lounge, absolutely spectacular. And look at that. Look at the ceiling, the glass, the stained glass ceilings, and all that lush woodwork. Absolutely gorgeous. They just don't make them like this anymore. We'll never see another Lusitania. We'll never see another RMS Titanic. Beautiful. Again, this video is to show you guys this book. This book isn't so much the history and the little details of building the ship and her service as much as just, it is literally what the title implies. It's just postcards, but you can get so many amazing photographs from the postcards. There was a guarantee period of 1 year by the builders for any defects of the ship. During the summer of 1908, Cunard began submitting lists of claims to John Brown so that the cost of the repair could be charged to the builder. So she had a 1 year warranty, if you look at it that way. And I know that's a very layman way of putting it. Another beautiful picture of her. And when it comes to making the model, when we do the build on this kit, this is going to help a lot with the details of the ship. I've seen a lot of great videos on people making this, but I've never even handled or seen the pieces to this kit. I know they have different models. They have the Airfix one that's smaller, but even that is getting hard to find. Canvas dodgers are clearly visible, covering the open areas of B and C decks. The dodgers were strung up shortly before coaling the vessel began because it was very dirty. It's a very dirty affair. There was an attempt to keep coal dust from creeping into every nook and cranny of the vessel. Also note the workmen for the second and third funnels applying a fresh coat of paint. This image is from late 1909. I don't know if you're actually going to be able to see that. Think about the open ocean, very harsh conditions. So you would think that she would need to be periodically repainted to keep everything looking fresh. I love that picture. Absolutely beautiful ship. And she rests now in 300 feet of water, so she's a lot more accessible than Titanic. A stunning view of Lusitania while docked at Pier 56 in New York. It must have been a fairly warm day because the majority of portholes are open, and a couple of portholes have homemade wind scoops to catch any hint of a breeze. So I'm wondering if they had air conditioning in the ship. Probably not. And again, there's history, bits and pieces as we go along, but my goal was not to read the book to you, but to show you some of these absolutely stunning photographs. Look at that. I love it. You see the tugboat. Among the amenities offered on most Cunard ships was an orchestra. During the voyage, they played at different times and locations throughout the ship for enjoyment of first and second class passengers. Those traveling third class generally had to provide their own entertainment. At the time Lusitania's maiden voyage, the ship's orchestra would play at the following times and places, although as the years passed, these hours were greatly extended. So for the second class dining room, it was 10 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. First class dining room would be from 1 to 1:45. The second class dining room or the saloon on the promenade deck would be from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. 7:20 to 8:20 would be the first class dining room. And to end the day, 9 to 10 p.m., the first class drawing room or on the promenade deck. Funnels on the Mauretania and Lusitania. That's a nice picture of them together. Despite the fact that Liverpool was the home port for Lusitania and Mauretania, it was a rare occurrence when the Cunard sisters appeared there at the same time. I love that picture. Look at them both. R.M.S. Lusitania and R.M.S. Mauretania in Sand and Half Tide Dock. Spectacular ship. And kudos to Mr. Sauder having all of these photographs. Are just amazing, and to share them with us, I love it. Photogenic photograph is one of the finest photographs taken of Lusitania. She is steaming off Old Head in Cansail, very close to where she would be torpedoed a few years later. This photograph was taken just moments after the prestige image. Lusitania charges through Irish Sea on her way to New York. Oh, I love that. Look at that. August 25th of 1913, calm seas and fair weather prevail on the first day of Lusitania's first crossing to New York after her turbine problems of the December of 1912. Lusitania and Mauretania were designed to be converted quickly into armed cruisers if the need arose, and each would sport 12 6-inch guns in the center of the photograph is one of the slightly elevated rings that would have held the gun. That's amazing. August 25th of 1913, Lusitania. See, this is the type of detail that will come in very handy for the model that we're going to be building. You can see the cowls and the winches in the background. And I love this. Look at that. Taken on the starboard side at the top of the house, which was the highest passenger deck, the large skylight housing on the left is above the first-class lounge, and is the riveted wall behind the passenger is the base of number 3 funnel. Love that. Candid postcards of the crew are quite rare. These two images were both taken while Lusitania was docked at Pier 56 in New York City, and they both date to after Titanic's disaster because the extra lifeboats were installed on a second-class deck house and can be seen. Titanic sinking definitely changed a lot. A lot of the shipping laws, but that's another video, and that goes without saying. You can see a lifeboat from Lusitania. And this is during drills, incidentally. When Lusitania entered service, she was a very popular subject for postcards. Not only official postcards produced by Cunard, but those printed and sold by local vendors in Clydebank, Liverpool, and New York. Some of the most famous maritime artists of the day produced paintings of her and her famous sister. Here is a selection of artists rendering postcards. Again, very talented. I wish I could paint like that. And matter of fact, this is even a painting on the model kit. And they have nothing to worry about, with my skills. Like I said, I had done the painting of the Titanic, and it's not as easy as they make it look. So let's go to the interiors of the ship. This is going to be amazing. Look at that absolutely beautiful lounge, all the way up to the ceiling. That would be the first-class dining room. And this, the grand dining room. That is spectacular. First class lounge, R.M.S. Lusitania. Again, look at how, can you just imagine, you have your brandy snifter, and you're going in, you're going to have a cigar or a cigarette, whatever they smoked in those days, and you just sit around and enjoy the luxurious surroundings and just marvel at how beautiful she is. And this is the first class lounge, again. Oh, I would just love to sit around with some friends and talk about the ships of the day, whether it's Titanic, Lusitania, Mauretania. Look at that. Look at the woodwork. This is the smoking room. And this is the first class library. And look how amazingly beautiful that is. This is the second class smoking room. And even the second class is absolutely stunningly beautiful. Look at the woodwork. And again, I don't want to keep gushing about Titanic, but the smoking room on Titanic is just absolutely gorgeous. Sinking and the aftermath. I don't really want to give any more attention to the U-boat that sank Lusitania. Okay, sinking of the Lusitania. So this illustration depicts the sighting of the submarine. Can you imagine how terrifying it would be to see that? And the sinking of the Lusitania. At about 1:20 p.m., at a distance of about 13 miles, U-20 spotted what was described in his logbook as a large passenger steamer. It was on the horizon. Immediately submerging and traveling at its maximum underwater speed of 9 knots, Schweiger hoped to be able to put U-20 into position for a clean shot. As the minutes passed, however, it seemed unlikely that he would be able to take a shot, as the fast-moving liner was steaming away from the submarine towards the Irish coast. Suddenly, at about 1:40 p.m., Captain Turner ordered a turn to starboard, which would put Lusitania directly in front of U-20 and make an attack possible. At 2:10 p.m., Schweiger ordered a single torpedo to be fired from a distance of about 700 meters. About a minute later, the torpedo struck the vessel somewhere below the bridge. Lusitania took an immediate list to starboard. Her fate, as well as the fate of 2,000 starboard, was sealed. That's sad. You can see the illustration. 18 minutes after the torpedo struck, it was all over. One of the greatest ships of the world we had seen now lying on our starboard side at the bottom of the cold Atlantic, and the lives of 2,000 innocent people had changed forever. Walter Schweiger and the U-20 headed back out to sea and set a course for Germany. You can see an illustration of the final plunge. Sinking of the Lusitania, you can see the rescue ships that arrive. By the evening of May 7th, just a few hours after Lusitania foundered, the first rescue ships arrived in Queenstown with both the living and the dead. Over the following few days, more and more boats had gone for search for victims, and they arrived with their grisly harvest. As the bodies arrived, they were laid out in temporary morgues for those lucky enough to have survived to identify. On Sunday, the 9th of May, 100 soldiers began digging the 3 mass graves in Clom Cemetery, about a mile outside of Queenstown, to hold the hundreds of victims recovered and would not return home. The first burials took place the following day, with the Royal Garrison Artillery supplying parties of soldiers to load the coffins onto the carts, which were then transported to the cemetery. They were met at the cemetery gate by 60 men of the 4th Irish Regiment who carried them to the graves, and by a further 100 men of the same regiment who carried out their interments. Very sad loss of life. You can see the Lusitania graves. By order of the Cunard Steamship Company Limited, these graves are planted and cared for by M. Saunders and Sons, Freres Walk Nurseries, Cork. Visitors are earnestly requested not to walk on the graves or touch the flowers. When the United States entered the war, one of the most popular pilgrimage spots for American servicemen was the graveyard outside of Queenstown. They usually had a photograph taken with the sign. Sacred to the memory of Francis William Lancaster. And this one, I can't really make out the name on that tombstone. When the news of the sinking became known, riots broke out all over the UK against anyone with a German-sounding name. This view shows the aftermath of the riot in Liverpool, Lusitania's home port. The message on the back of the card reads, "Result of raid following the sinking of the Lusitania, Liverpool, England." You can imagine the outrage that would have been sparked by a U-boat attacking an ocean liner. It was totally defenseless. Coming to Royal Welsh Male Quartet of Newport, South Wales, survivors of the Royal Gwent Welsh Singers, saved from the Lusitania disaster. A world of music in one night. Wait for us. You can see Ben Davies, Riska Williams, George Lane, J. Preston Smith, and Arthur Smith, who was the pianist. You can see one of the lifeboats. Let's see if I can read that. I don't think I can read that sign. Let's see if the Lusitania raft. This raft is one from the SS Lusitania, torpedoed by the German submarine off the coast of Ireland, May 7th of 1915. It washed ashore, having several bodies aboard. Presented to the town council on June 7th of 1917, lest we forget. And we can move on to the propaganda part. The memorial to German savagery. The three large graves of Queenstown, where the bodies of 178 of Lusitania's victims rest. The little victims of the Lusitania. And you can see this illustration with the bodies. What a nightmare that would have gone through, to have to go there and worried about loved ones, potential victims. Lusitania propaganda. 3 years after the sinking of Lusitania was still powerful propaganda for a tool. The Lord Rhondda mentioned in the place card or placard in front of the tank is David Alfred Thomas. Both he and his daughter, Margaret Mackworth, survived the sinking. Lord Rhondda died in 3rd of July in 1918, 2 months after this photograph was taken. Two early images of Lusitania, one during her trials and one as she lay in mercy, turned into propaganda cards. Beautiful picture, and that's really a gorgeous shot of her. Cunard liner Lusitania turbine torpedoed and sunk by German submarine off Old Head and south coast of Ireland on May 7th, 1915. And again, remembering the Lusitania. And this is just an amazing book of photographs. Lusitania was an engineering marvel. At one time, the largest, fastest, and most opulent vessel in the world. When she was sunk by a German submarine on May 7th, 1915, with a loss of about 1,200 lives, it sent shockwaves around the world. The iconic passenger liner immediately became a weapon in the Allied propaganda war, helping to shift American public opinion against Germany and influencing the United States' eventual entry into the First World War. Her many achievements and successes were largely forgotten. This volume tells Lusitania's story from construction to the aftermath of her sinking in remarkable contemporary postcards. July 4th, 1907. I thought you would like this photo of Lusitania, the largest ship afloat, taken on the Clyde. We were seeing the launch. The great boat slipped into the water like a toy. Clyde Bank was a holiday for the occasion. Dear Mary, I almost forgot to send you a line. Here is one. Now take care of it, for it is valuable. Be good. Piles of love, P. And again, this book is just amazing. Fans of Lusitania, you have to pick up a copy of this book. And this is a really inexpensive book. This was $26. And Mr. Sauder actually gives you the opportunity, if you wish, he'll sign a book to you, like he had done for me. But this has a wealth of pictures and information that I just scratched the surface, and there's so much to this little book. So my friends, I hope you enjoyed this quick little trip through the photographs of the RMS Lusitania in the time period. Again, I had made this after I had done the history. When it comes to my history, the video that I made, my biggest reference was from Dr. Ballard, and I'm going to be doing that book very soon. So my friends, until that time, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.